Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. I realize my podcast venue keeps changing, and it's because my life is hectic and I don't really have a podcast studio. We do guerrilla style podcasting because at the end of the day, consistency matters more than the background. Consistently putting out content and information matters more than how many people, like the surroundings. So thank you for bearing with me in my journey here. But this week I wanted to share, we've had a couple of good podcasts about your body being a part of your discipleship and the Christian mindset that has somehow separated the body from the spirit is one that does not take into account that Jesus actually came in bodily form and that his sacrifice on the cross was one of his body. So your body, my body, is part of this relationship, salvation. Your salvation is not just for your spirit, but it is a new life physically in the world, right? So to think of the scriptures and to think of the Bible in terms of, it's just about your spirit. It's literally just about having the right mindset towards Jesus, is only half of what would really change people's lives, because most people are failing to find peace in their life because they are burdened physically by their habits. They're burdened physically by not disciplining the flesh. They're burdened by their lusts and lack of peace because we don't fast. Our appetites take control of us. We have this kind of hedonistic approach to life, but yet we're supposed to be disciplined in the spirit, and we're supposed to be focused on Jesus in the spirit. So we have kind of this Gnostic dualism in our spiritual approach, which is we separate the spirit. The spirit is good, but the flesh is evil. And what I do in my body, like how I eat, how I sleep, how I rest, has nothing really to do with my relationship with the Lord. And that would be a Gnostic heresy. And many of us live inside of this heresy and wonder why we don't have control over our body, control over our habits, control over our mindsets. And so we've talked about that the last few weeks. And I had a great conversation with Mitch from Dead Nation. So definitely check those podcasts out. This week, just a real quick note. I'm not going to make this long because it's the end of the week and it's been a long week. So I'm going to try to drop a thought that has really been with me and I think can help a lot of people. We live in a culture right now of information. People have advice. They want a program. They want specifics. They want detail. Everybody's about trying to optimize. And, you got people who are worried, okay, this is me nitpicking. You got people who are worrying about whether or not, cold plunges are going to help them live longer when they don't do cardio, which is like your VO2 max and your ability to use oxygen well as you age is correlated with more health than anything else, literally anything else. So we're nitpicking like details, and everybody's like looking for the most optimal thing. And we're so focused on the small rocks that we're not even addressing the big rocks. And like a lot of things, a lot of people are worried about food dyes, and we should be. People are worried about the chemicals in our food, and we should be, right? But if you can't lift weights regularly and get some cardio in regularly, who gives a crap what chemicals are in your food? None of that's going to move the needle. You going from regular to organic is not going to move the needle in your health in any way compared to getting a gym membership and being consistent. How about living in a caloric restriction? Having a caloric restriction, some type of restriction in your diet. Not living like, we're gluttons and hedonists and everything we put in our mouths is about satisfying our desires, wants, and appetites, right? So a lot of us are nitpicking this, and it's partially because of the way we use information, but it's also the way the algorithms push information. So let this podcast serve as a gentle reminder that you might not need more advice. You might just need to actually do what you already know you need to do, right? In the face of not knowing what to do, action is always better than inaction. So I'm hoping that this quick podcast, I'm going to try to keep it to 15, 20 minutes. You don't need, just as a reminder, you don't need more information. You don't need to worry about doing everything right. You need to worry about doing something. Because really what ends up happening is we get it is convenient to our flesh. It is easy on our flesh to focus on details rather than action. Because action requires responsibility. Action requires self-leadership. Action requires me doing the thing I don't want to do right now. Like going to bed on time, saying no to my flesh, disciplining my body, disciplining my mind. Right? That is part of discipleship. The disciple is the root of discipline. It is training towards being the type of person that I want to see. Right? And in our case, as Christians, discipleship is about doing as the Lord commanded and walking in his steps. What did he command? What did he example for us? He exemplified a life of discipline. He exemplified of a life of doing the thing that was difficult, regardless of how he felt about it. Right? Remember he said, "Take this cup from me, but not thy will, but not my will, but thy will be done." Right? That is discipline. That is him saying no to his flesh. Why did he say the narrow road leads to life? It's not the wide road, the road that is many of us live by. Well, it's grace. Everything's grace, grace, grace. Yeah, we all have grace. But you don't have grace to live in defeat in your health. You don't have, the grace does not cover you living in defeat in your health. Grace does not cover gluttony. Grace does not cover laziness. Grace does not cover living in fear, right? And I'm not trying to be hard. I'm just trying to say at some point, we have to just start moving. Move. Like, get after it. Go do something. Like, so many people will ask about going to the gym and how should I do that? And they want a program and they want a meal plan. And it's like, you don't need that. Will it help? Sure. But what you're asking for me or a coach to do when you just give me a program, you're thinking that the program is going to take away your fear of doing it wrong, or the program is going to take away the difficulty of it. No. Disciplining your flesh to go and work out. Disciplining your flesh to say no to the sweets. Disciplining yourself to wake up and pray. Go to bed on time, right? Focus on your actual disciplines of being a Christian. Those things are difficult, but they require action. And there's no doing it right or doing it wrong. There's doing it. And as you learn to do it, you get better at it, right? It's the same thing going to the gym. When you first go to the gym, you don't know what you're doing. I started when I was 14. It was like literally just running around making up stuff. I didn't know what I was doing. But as I kept going, I got better at it. And I actually turned it into a career, right? The same thing happens with anything else we do. So you don't need more advice right now. Dear listener, you don't need more advice. What you need is massive action. You need action. In the face of indecision, action will win. Okay? In the face of not knowing what to do, do something. If you don't know where to start with your diet, start by cutting the junk out. Start by being honest enough with yourself to just stop buying the crap that you know you shouldn't be eating. I know that sounds easy, and it's probably hard. It's definitely harder than it sounds, but be honest with yourself. Stop treating yourself like a child and just stop buying it. I know people are going to be like, well, if I hear this so much where people are like, but I can't live without, or I must have. You are saying your appetites are in control of you. You're saying that your flesh is in control. And it is understood in the Gospels. It is understood in the first century church that the flesh had to be disciplined. The body had to be buffeted, as Paul would say it. Not buffeted, as many of my Pentecostal brothers would say. The flesh has to be disciplined to train unto godliness, as Paul told Timothy. Paul did say, physical training is of some use, but spiritual training is of more use, right? For this life and the next. He didn't say physical training is of no use, because physical training actually disciplines the flesh, and it teaches you to say no. It teaches you how to do things when you don't want to do them, just as Jesus did. It teaches you to be disciplined and stick to a program and a process even when you don't see what you want to see right now. Sounds like prayer. Sounds like I'm praying for the thing I want to see, though I don't have it. That's faith. I'm believing for the thing that I want, and I'm moving towards it every day, even though I don't see it. That's faith. That's discipline. Discipline is a form of faith. I am investing. I am pushing towards the thing I want to see, even though I don't see it now. So let me help you. You don't need another workout program. You don't need a meal plan. You don't need a consultation on how to start dieting. What you need is action. You need to start moving forward. You need to go to bed on time. Set a clock. Go to bed on time. Turn your phone off. Delete Instagram. Delete social media altogether. Whatever it takes to get you into the bed. Then wake up at the right time, regardless of how you feel. I know some people are like, well, I have trouble sleeping. Fine. Wake up anyway, right? I've had trouble sleeping for 30 years. Just because I'm ADD and I got problems, all right? So don't judge me. But my point is not to be hard. My point is to say, I know you're stronger than you think you are. And we have gotten so used to making excuses for ourselves. We have gotten so used as Christians with thinking we are so weak in our flesh. And the reason you are weak in your flesh is not because the flesh is weak, not because the skin is weak. It's because we're not training it the way we need to. And I don't mean just lifting weights. I mean solitude. I mean prayer. I mean fasting. You know, it's really hard to get overweight when you fast regularly. It's really hard to get overweight when you fast and you show some discipline in restricting your diet. It's really hard to get overweight whenever you're doing prayer walks. It's really hard to constantly be without peace when you have a regular prayer time and you have regular Bible reading times. And that whole point where Paul says, and then the Prince of Peace will, the peace that passes all understanding will be at you. If you look at it, he says, if you do what I taught you to do, and you model and you do what I modeled for you, then you will have the peace that passes all understanding. What was he talking about? Was he talking about how to believe? No, he was talking about literally physical disciplines. He was talking about, I modeled before you, working hard, prayer, fasting, solitude, speaking in tongues more than you used to, right? Like Paul said, I speak in tongues more than everybody, right? So he modeled that. He modeled the disciplines of the spiritual life. He modeled the disciplines of training the flesh to not be in charge, and peace that passes all understanding would come from that. Yes, peace comes from the Prince of Peace, but peace also comes from you and I being in charge of our own discipleship, of walking with him in discipline. And when I say discipline, I don't just mean, I don't eat cake like I used to. It's not about that. It's about, what are my appetites? What are my intentions? What are my motivations? And do I give in to them? Are my motivations in charge of me? Are my appetites in charge of me? Or what I want to see in my life, is that in charge of me? Does that help me make decisions? If what I want to see guides me, that's faith, right? I'm moving towards the thing I want. I don't see it yet, but I'm moving towards it. That's faith. That is working out. That is fasting. That is prayer. I'm moving towards the thing I want to see in my life. So let me just say one more time. You don't need more advice. You don't need a meal plan. You don't need a new journal. You don't need a new Bible reading plan. You just need to read your Bible. You need massive action and consistent action. Even if you're uncertain if it's right. It doesn't have to be perfect to be correct. It doesn't have to be just right to be effective. It needs to be consistent to be effective. All right? Going to the gym. People want me to get them a plan. I'll give you a plan. But if you are not the type of person who's going to just keep going, it doesn't matter if I give you a plan. Now you just have some paper that judges you when you don't do it. You know what I'm saying? I remember Miss Joyce would say, she would put her Bible reading plan on the refrigerator, and because she was so religious about it, that if she skipped it, she was so legalistic about it, if she missed it, then every time she walked by, it judged her, right? Because it was less about being the kind of person who reads the Bible every day and more about checking the boxes and being a good person, right? So what I'm moving towards in my podcasting, my ministry of teaching, is helping to disciple Christians and myself in the disciplines that create overcomers. And fitness is part of that. Because if you cannot discipline your flesh when it is tired, if you cannot discipline your appetites in the face of temptation, then that is not an overcoming life. Now, we all fail at it, but we can all get better at it. Okay? So, you don't need more advice. You need action. So what is your action step this week? What is the thing that you need to just move? What is it? Is it just go to bed? Is it just go for a walk? What is it that you've been making excuses for? And if you just stop making excuses and just put your foot in front, one foot in front of the other, and just start moving. What is it? Because I promise you, if you just start moving, you can get momentum, and momentum can create motivation. And then you can just keep rolling. Okay? Momentum will carry you. But discipline is the thing we all need. The narrow path is the path to life. The life of restriction, the life of discipline is the path to life. Wide, easy is the path that leads to destruction. Easy. Everybody's looking for easy. Do the hard thing today. Do the hard thing. What is it that you need to do? Do it. Okay? We believe in you. We love you. I just appreciate you listening. I appreciate you just letting me ramble on sometimes. Because a lot of times these podcasts it's just what I feel like God's speaking to me. Sometimes it might be a study. Sometimes it's an interview. Sometimes it's just me just riffing. It doesn't matter. I appreciate you listening. I appreciate your insight. If this encourages you in any way, I would love to hear from you. If it doesn't encourage you, if you're mad, still want to hear from you. Totally great. In the description, you'll have ways that you can follow along, ways that you can reach out to me through email, or you can DM me on any social media platform. Totally great. I would love to hear from you, but I just believe in you. I believe if you are a believer in Christ, His life is in you. His Spirit is in you. You are His temple. And I guarantee you, there is so much more peace, grace, abundant life on the other side of discipline than there is just letting your life roll along as it is. Discipline is the key to freedom. Okay? We love you. We appreciate you. Talk soon.